In June of 1991, this Buffalo, New York radio station interviewed the Honorable Yahweh Beit Nun Sophie Yahweh, Yahweh Ben Yahweh.
Brother Yahweh Ben Yahweh.
Well, good morning to you and to your audience and all that are listening there.
You know, it's certainly a rare opportunity and a privilege to be able to interview you this morning on our program. I understand that we are only the fourth station nationwide to be able to do this. Is that correct?
That's close to correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. Listen, we want to start out our show this morning, Brother Yahweh, by asking you, for the benefit of our listening audience, who is Yahweh Ben Yahweh?
I am the son of my father, Yahweh, who sent me to the lost sheep of the house of Israel first. The lost sheep of the house of Israel are the so-called black people of America who were brought here as slaves about 436 years ago from the west coast of Africa. And, of course, having been brought here and put into slavery, the knowledge of who we are, our history, culture, language, name, and land was taken from us. So I am sent to this group of people first to raise them up to a knowledge of civilization so that they can take their place among all the other civilized nations of the earth. And after I accomplish that job, then I'm to raise up all the other nations that are on the earth who love good and who love morality. So no one has to really be jealous of my work among black people in America. It's just that there's no way to help all the other nations have heaven on earth until that group of people has been reached. So I'm sent to the first to the lost sheep. Now that's my job. That's my basic and primary job. I'm self-revealed, self-called, self-proclaimed, self-educated into the knowledge of Yahweh. That makes me the first begotten of the dead. Mm-hmm. I have come through the seed of Abraham, the same as you and everyone else. That makes me the Son of Man. But at the same time, the knowledge that would resurrect us and make us a whole people again and make us a nation under God, the same as everybody else is on this planet Earth, could only come from one who is chosen for that job. And I was born without that knowledge. Mm-hmm. So the only explanation for me having this knowledge is that my Father Yahweh has revealed it to me. So in that revelation, I'm proclaiming his name. That's the duty of the Son of God, is to proclaim the name of his Father, which is Yahweh. So as I proclaim that name, then that makes me the resurrection. I have taken out from America a microcosmic nation called Yahweh, the nation of Yahweh, also known as the Yahwehs or the Yahwehs. Mm-hmm. So in doing that, in taking this group of people, we all know that across America, black people are known to be lazy, shiftless, no good, hanging out under trees, dealing in drugs, doing everything that's immoral. But I've taken from this group all over America, in over 100 cities now, and I have reformed a group of people, and I've redeemed them, regenerated them, and caused them to stand up and be a clean, moral, positive contributor to the American society and the society of the world.
Okay, now, we want to talk about that in just a little bit, but going back to yourself, Yahweh Ben Yahweh, and what you indicate that your intent is, what your mission is, that, you know, historically, particularly here in America, amongst black people, that we have always been suspect with individuals who have identified themselves with a calling from God, have always held in suspect individuals who have come forth with a proclamation that they are the chosen one who's going to lead us from all of this confusion. Why should we not believe the same as regards to yourself, sir?
Well, this is always the problem that we have. Normally, we are a people who like to follow the dead. Mm-hmm. That means after whoever comes, if he dies, then all of a sudden he becomes very important, someone to follow. And it's impossible to follow a dead man. He can't make changes. You can read his philosophy after he dies, but he certainly is unable to lead you into the promised land. So you have to have someone who is alive to get that job done. That's what made Moses effective in leading the children of Israel, our fathers, out from under Egypt. Was a live leader. And in every single instance in the world, all people who have been led from one level of culture to a higher level had a live, living leader. And of course, we have to overcome that problem in order to accept one born from among us as the resurrection, the reformer, or savior, or the Messiah. So I ask a very favorite question. If I am not the Messiah, then nobody on this planet has anything to worry about. But the question is, what if I really am the one promised to come?
Okay, and we see that there certainly has been a number of individuals in this world, particularly in the United States, who have taken on some degree of concern with regards to that issue.
Yes, there are. And now there are more and more people all over the country, in all of the islands, in Africa, and in Europe, who are now considering this question as to my divinity, as to my being the Messiah, the one called to come forth. I tell you what makes it a real question among the intelligent and the learned is the name Yahweh, Yahweh is the 4 letters called the Tetragrammaton, is a name that's been kept secret all of our 436 years here in slavery. Yet the whole planet Earth, and there are many buildings with this name on it, all where this is the name of the Creator. And this is where the power is. This is the true and the living sovereign one. Now, all so-called black people in America have been without this knowledge our entire life. And yet, I'm the only one to publish this name, Yahweh, among us, and to get a divine job done. So that actually proves my authenticity, the very fact that I'm bringing this name forth. You can look it up in dictionaries, encyclopedias, thesauruses. You can look it up in many reference books, many reference Bibles. All have this name. 800 million Catholics praise and worship the name Yahweh in Mass. But they never tell black people that this is the name of God. They all worship this name in secret. So that's their job. They were supposed to do it that way until the one comes whose right it is to publish the name of his Father among the people chosen to publish his name and glorify his name. And that's the so-called black man of America. And when they return to praise in the name of their God, then this earth can know peace and heaven once again.
You know, Brother Yahweh Ben Yahweh, when we talk about religion and we look at religion, particularly within the African-American communities throughout this nation, that we see a number of things. One, that to a certain degree that we have been taught or at least led to believe in certain instances that God and the Son of God, which we've known as Jesus Christ, is someone other than an African American or someone other than someone with black skin. We look at some of the symbols that are in the African American churches, pictures of Christ that have a lighter complexion or a white complexion as opposed to a black complexion. Now, how is that going to, that whole idea of indoctrination then, going to affect a person's ability to accept your teachings?
Well, the only one on the planet Earth who has that problem would be the dead, the mentally and spiritually dead people of the earth. And that happens to be the so-called black man of America. He's the only one who has traditionally been brainwashed to accept false concepts relative to the skin color game. A lot of people are deeply immersed in a skin color game. I don't believe in it, don't accept it, never have. And that's one of the biggest tricks on the planet Earth.
But these people are then the spiritually and religiously dead are the people that we are trying to reach out to, though. Is that correct?
Exactly correct. Exactly correct. And once we get their attention, then we can show them scriptures from Genesis through Revelation that the Son of God would have woolly hair, strange-colored eyes, and skin like unto fine brass. The scriptures are full of it.
Okay. Listen, I want to go on to some other things because we only have a very limited time and we can sit here and talk forever. You've amassed an empire of approximately $100 million or more. How have you been able to do that amongst all of the controversial issues, amongst all of the problems and obstacles that you have faced yourself?
in establishing a $100 million empire, I can only give credit to Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
Is the one who has made this possible. I've had many leaders come to my office before my incarceration from all over the country, and that was their favorite question. How have you been able to establish such a financial empire? And I would say Yahweh. Then their question was, I know, but give me the 1, 2, 3 of it. You know, like there must be 10 points.
Mm-hmm.
All 10 points are Yahweh. And then finally, in exasperation, they would say, well, let's leave God out of it and just tell me the points. And I said, that's why you will never be successful at getting anything done among our people, is because you really want to leave God out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible. We're God's chosen people, and as his chosen people, you can't ignore him in setting up a righteous government or setting up a righteous organization, a cooperation, or a business empire. It's not going to last. It's not going to stand without Yahweh in it. That's his name. And we have plenty of proof. All the businesses in America are practically failing. We have in the papers this week where several cities have gone bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
New York City is having to lay off tens of thousands of people because God is not in it. There's just one corporation after another going bankrupt. Sears is laying off 90,000 people. It's just uncanny. These people don't have anywhere to go. Easton has laid off 40,000 people. Where are these people going? These are white-collar workers, college-educated and trained. Everybody can't work at McDonald's. Until they accept me bringing forth a perfect moral message, everybody's going to be out of business and without work, because God is not in it. See, when you have presidents of companies and the officers and the CEOs of companies who are irreligious, then they're going to steal those companies blind, and that's what they're doing. And they're stealing hundreds of millions, taking all they can grab, and they're going to go, if they can, to Europe or Switzerland or wherever and lay back on the Riviera while the masses of America all go under. And this has nothing to do with race. Then they're going to play the race-baiting game, quota game, for Bush to run for an election. This is a game on the people, the masses of the people. And New York said they're going to lay off 10,000, I think, this month. And some cities say they're going to have to raise taxes and lay off. The poor businessman, he can't pay for so much taxes. So all the people who are depending on government, even those who work for government, are all going to be out of a job. When the people who run businesses can no longer make a profit, they're going to quit or be driven out through bankruptcy.
But, you know, now, in spite of all of this, in spite of the economic problems that this nation is facing, and particularly that the African-American community is facing, that in many communities, that organizations that you have started or helped to establish, they have became a thriving entity.
Yes, that's absolutely true. All of our businesses have been thriving, although there are those who don't understand how we run our businesses, think that they don't make money. The fact is, we have come together as family, as every other ethnic group has done in this country. In fact, that's what America's all about. People from Germany come here, they set up a little community, and all the Germans live there. They're called Germantown. People from China, they have Chinatown. Japan have Japantown, whatever you want to call it. But all of these little groups come to this country, set up a little enclave, and they trade together, work together. Then they become interdependent among each other in the country, and you know prosperity until greed sets in. And of course, greed eradicates and causes the problems that we see going on today. But I've been successful in teaching my followers how to be successful by keeping the Creator, Yahweh, as the focus, and to eliminate all of the little petty things that destroy people. And it would be shocking to know that I also support a group, an organization called BOSS. That's a non-sectarian group made up of black people of various religions. We've been able to set aside the petty differences of religion and politics and education and social status and work together in perfect harmony in establishing successful businesses.
You know, that in itself is an accomplishment, Brother Ben Yahweh, to the extent that many people have always thought the African-American population to be both politically and economically impotent and unable to put together a thriving enterprise, one that is going to last and survive the test of time. And obviously you have been able to go beyond all of those myths and show people just the opposite.
Exactly right. In fact, I have been so successful at doing that until the present prosecution hiding under the guise of the government, I'm very slow to blame the U.S. government, the entire U.S. government, for what's happening to me and my followers. It's not that. It's the Assistant U.S. Attorney Scruggs and a few of his assistants, and perhaps 3 or 4 people who are his superiors, who are obviously racist, anti-black, and hate to see the so-called black man of America pull himself up and do something for himself. They want to have a scapegoat. And by having eradicated us as a scapegoat, these people are determined to take and to destroy that which I have built. And of course, since I'm here, Yahweh is seeing to it that the world is aware of what's happening to us, and that I'm not really here under the false charges. The false charges is nothing but a smokescreen, and intelligent people know that. I am in reality a political prisoner. I'm a political hostage suffering religious persecution because I revealed a name that gets the job done among us. And you'll see them attempting to take, steal, and destroy the $100 million empire that I have established. Okay. And they're terribly shaken because the courts finally had to admit that I am indigent.
Okay, listen.
Can you imagine a man establishing a $100 million empire in America and take no salary? I have no salary, no stocks, no bonds, no hidden Swiss accounts. I'm not an officer of any corporation, and I own absolutely no property on this planet Earth. And yet I have 4 children and 28 grandchildren who have no estate at law. In this country, if my body ceased to exist, they have absolutely nothing. And yet I have established this for people in this country who practice the principles that I teach.
You know, that's absolutely remarkable because when I was first talking to Brother Hamuel here in Buffalo, and we're talking about the fact that you were denied indigent status, and the first thing that came to my mind is, well, wait a minute, here's an individual that's responsible for establishing an empire in excess of $100 million, and how can he ask to be declared indigent? I think that becomes more clear, though, from what you say as to why you are seeking indigent status.
Yes. You see, we need the model example among us that if we're going to have leadership, then the leadership should set the example, the perfect role model of how we should serve the people. And since our present leadership has been unaware of the knowledge of Yahweh, then they have not been taught how to make the sacrifice as a servant of God and a servant to the people. So I have come and I have set the perfect role model of how you be a servant to the Creator Yahweh and a servant to the masses of the people of the earth. And you don't do that by trying to feather your own nest and by trying to exploit the people and become rich at their expense in trying to save them. I am absolutely confident, absolutely happy that when you help everybody on the planet to be rich, then you have a huge family on the earth who will be happy to prepare a meal for you when you're coming through the city. Or who will be happy to let you sleep in a bedroom, which is what they do for me.
Right.
I'm sure that if I came to your city, I could sleep in your bedroom.
Brother Ben Yahweh, we're going to have to take a short break, pay a few bills, and we'll be right back.
All right, thank you.
And again, we're talking live with Brother Yahweh Ben Yahweh. And Brother Yahweh, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. I want to, first of all, start talking about the fact that you are in jail. I want everybody on the listening audience to realize that we are talking to Brother Yahweh Ben Yahweh live from the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Miami, Florida. Brother Ben Yahweh, you are in jail now. Why?
I'm in jail now for a number of reasons. The first reason is the exact thing that happened to Christ 1900 years ago has happened to me. The exact thing. What happened to him? He was a man that was telling the truth. He made enemies with the Roman Empire by feeding the poor. You know, when you take 5 little loaves, 5 fish and 2 loaves of bread, and you feed 5,000 people, that means you put a very serious dent in the economy of the supermarkets. And that group of people, he took 5,000 customers from them. When he raised the dead, he made the enemy of all the morticians and the people that sold hearses and funeral products because they had no one to bury. Secondly, when he healed the sick, then he made the hospitals very upset and angry. The nurses didn't have a job, the doctors didn't have a job, the surgeons were out of work. Everybody that exploits the masses of people through their ignorance on regard to health were very upset. Here was a whole economy being wiped out by this one man teaching the people the truth about how to live in heaven on earth and free from sickness and disease. So I was doing the same thing. And they sought to destroy him. They sought to destroy me for the same reason. They couldn't get to me. So what did they do? They found a man who went the very opposite of my teaching, a rosier. I teach don't carry a gun. They raided us in several states of America. They've never found a gun on any of my followers anywhere in 100 cities, anywhere on the earth. Yet this character, in an open locking incident, shot 2 people, which is contrary to what I teach. Now, after he is caught and arrested, which was the same night, he later decides he wants to save himself from the electric chair. And they say, well, if you give us Yahweh Ben Yahweh, you won't have to go. So this man admitted to killing at least 4 people. He's admitted to killing more than that because he's a serial killer. But they gave him only 20 years for killing 4 people to give them Yahweh Ben Yahweh, which they're seeking 60 years for me for not ever having killed anyone. I'm not accused of killing anyone. They said I told him to, or I approved of him or someone else doing something. Now, can you imagine a preacher being required to screen his parishioners to know their mindset? Or can you imagine a preacher or leaders of organizations being responsible for the acts of their parishioners? Yet that's what I'm being held here for. The alleged acts of some of my parishioners. I'm being held for that. But yet President Bush refused to allow Police Gates in California to be held responsible for the acts of his men. No one is going to hold General Schwarzkopf accountable for killing 400,000 men, women, and children in Iraq. No generals or officers are going to be held responsible for killing 10,000 people, men, women, and children in Panama, just to get Noriega over here, who's over here where I am. No one's going to hold the Catholic priest or Pope who hears all of these confessions of what people do responsible for what they hear. Yet I'm being held for that. And this Judas Rosier has betrayed me in that manner. And then, of course, there are about a few others that they have been able to force and threaten and coerce to try to corroborate his story, which doesn't work. It's not working. That's why we're being held. And how are we being held? We're being held under a pretrial detention, which means all of our constitutional rights are gone. They don't exist. It means that through the accusation of one person, 18 to 20 people are being held here in jail without bond. And the Bail Reform Act allows the government, the prosecution, to simply proffer. Proffer means lie. They can stand up, which they did, and just lie and give hearsay evidence from one serial killer, and I'm here. Now, guess what else? I'm further denied bond because I quoted the Bible. Unbelievable. I quoted Luke chapter 19, verse 27, and said, I'll be glad to see when Luke 19:27 comes to pass. It was prophecy spoken of through Christ in red letters in the Bible, all of your Bibles. And for quoting his words, I'm considered a danger to the community. Unbelievable.
Now, what are the exact charges that have been levied against you?
I'm charged with 3 counts. One is conspiracy to commit murder. Conspiracy means one person can say you did, and that makes it a conspiracy. I didn't say I did. None of the people who he said did have said I did, but one person did. So I'm in here for conspiracy to commit murder because this person said so. Secondly, I'm here for extortion, conspiracy for extortion, and for conspiracy for firebombing. Somebody did a firebombing in another city, and this same person is the one who has accused me of conspiracy, of saying I did. So I'm here in jail now for almost a year behind what one person said I did. And I'm denied bond because I quoted the Bible.
You know, Ben Yahweh, there are a number of atrocities connected with your incarceration, and some of those atrocities include the alleged lack of a search warrant when they originally raided a number of properties controlled by the Nation of Yahweh. The whole idea of being incarcerated for 7 months without actually going to court and just being held in a pretrial detention mode, seizure of properties, solitary confinement, that whole issue of denial of bail. Why is the U.S. government attacking Yahweh Ben Yahweh?
The reason for the attack is rather clear. First, we have to look at the total pattern that has been taking place in recent years. Every so-called black leader, national black leader, is under attack. Many of them have been eradicated, such as Alcee Hastings, Judge. He was a federal judge.
Right.
Your last remaining federal judge, I believe, out of New Orleans, is under attack. You had your mayor in Washington, Barry. Regardless of what he did, he was under attack. A sting was set up to get him. And all across America, the mayor of Cleveland, he was having a convention. He's under attack. They come up with conspiracies, they come up with stings, they come up with every kind of thing they can to get rid of black leadership. Now, that's a national pattern. It's not, even Farrakhan is under attack. Jesse Jackson was driven out from the presidential elections the last term, almost. He was under serious attack. Their lives are threatened. In many cases, they're assassinated. So the pattern is the same. The big problem is there are people here who are afraid of the so-called black man of America coming to his own. Just plain coming to his own, coming back into the knowledge of his history, his true culture, his language, his land, his own name, the name of his God, his nationality, and his land and his destiny in life. And they're dedicated to preventing you from doing that. And they don't care if you try to integrate, they assassinate you, such as they did Martin Luther King. And then if you want to separate, such as the Muslims wanted to, then they assassinate Malcolm X for that. And then if you just want to be ambivalent and sit up and do nothing, they just assassinate you for trying to be a part of the American system. So anyone who comes up with a leadership role for you becomes a threat. For example, the Japanese come, they buy up America, they do a little Japanese bashing, but they still buy up the country. People from France come in and buy up corporations all over the country. People from China, people from Cubans have come and taken over Miami. That's fine. All of that is fine. Little complaints here and there from the so-called American. But they all go into a fit when I have taken the black people of America and shown that they can do the same thing that every other group has done and is doing, and they just get bent totally out of shape because they don't want you to be free. You're chosen to be the best and do the best and lead the world into morality, to be good on earth.
You know, it would appear, though, and you're certainly right, that there does appear to be a conspiracy nationwide to eliminate black leaders, leaders that have not been chosen by the establishment. But when you look at what it is that you have done and what it is that you are potentially offering black people here in America and a benefit that the nation would have as a whole, you know, it brings to mind, you know, why does the U.S. government want to put an end to what you have helped to establish, seeing that it's going to tear away at the very fabric upon which this nation was built?
That raises two problems. The first problem is America has to recognize that there are 60 million of us here. And our 60 million people represent the tax base. And as that tax base, they should want us to be very profitable and excellent contributors, because that's the more money the government would have to function with.
Absolutely, and less dependence on programs that the government would have to fund.
Exactly right. Exactly right. But they're allowing a few jealous people within the government to sabotage me doing a great work which would relieve America. Actually, I'm born to bring relief to this country and to the world. The economy of this country and the world is in a shambles, and it's getting worse on a daily basis. And President Bush just came on national television this past week and said, Americans, don't look to me to solve your problems. All of you that are unemployed are going to have to solve your own problems. The average American person who has attended public schools have not been prepared to solve his own problems. They've only been prepared to look for a job. That doesn't do with your color. Americans through the public school are prepared only for a job, and they don't come out of high school prepared for the job. They have to get OJT, on the job training, and that means they can't create jobs. They're not creators. So I'm a creator. And since I'm the creator of a nation and founder of a nation, I can take the same group, the so-called black men of America, and bring relief by teaching them to create their own jobs. And that's what I'm doing. Now, what does that do? Right now, white people are working 6 months out of the year, paying taxes. Half of their salary goes paying taxes to take care of black people through welfare, food stamps, and other so-called quota jobs and non-discriminatory jobs. And there are black folk out there, but it's so insane. And it's also insane for white people to fight against me trying to take these people off their back.
I agree 100%. Brother Ben Yahweh, we do have my co-host, Brother Willie Warren, is standing by, and he certainly has some questions to ask of you as well.
I would appreciate it.
Okay, good morning, Brother Ben Yahweh.
Good morning, Mr. Warren.
How you doing?
Well, I'm doing as well as one can do under these circumstances, being incarcerated.
Okay, well, I can't say I know how you feel, but I can sympathize with you. Brother Ben Yahweh, been listening to you, you know, the things that you are about. I mean, it's remarkable, and I think it's something that our people should listen to. Then on the other hand, the reason that you are there, it's bothering, I think, to the people that are out in the listening audience that know America would have you in jail for that reason.
Yes.
Maybe, let me ask you, Brother Ben Yahweh, you say you are self-claimed, you're self-educated, you're self-this. Would you say people think that you are God?
There are some people who may think that I'm God. I proclaim that I'm the Son of Yahweh. Mm-hmm. And I am come with the knowledge and the power as the first begotten of the dead, so that any person on this planet who will accept the fact that Yahweh is the name of God, which is reference proven to be correct, and accept the fact that I'm publishing his name and obeying his will, that makes me his son. And anyone who believes on Yahweh the Father and believes that I am his son, sent by him, I will give them the power to become the sons of God. So every man on the earth has the right to become the sons of God. And that's John chapter 1, verse 12. This is very clear for anyone. They don't have to be jealous of that reality.
Okay, now, you said that black folks, correct me if I'm wrong, Ben Yahweh, that we like to follow the dead. Do you think that is some of our plight, the reason that we're in the condition that we're in today?
Yes, it is. It is one of the number one reasons that we're in the predicament that we're in is that we love to follow the dead. Yahweh is the living God. Yahweh is the living sovereign one. And in order for us to be free, he has to send a living sovereign son. And that's who I am. So for your sake, I'm being persecuted. For your sake, I'm being hung on the cross. For your sakes, I am suffering for your salvation, dying for your sins. I am become poor that you may live. And yet my name is cast out as evil, as promised in Luke chapter 6, verses 22 and 23. And I'm hated without a cause. All at the same time, I'm the blessed and only potentate. I'm the true light. I'm the Lion of the tribe of Judah. I'm the one with the lion's grip. I come as the Prince of Peace. I am the Grand Master of the Celestial Lodge. And I'm the perfect moral teacher of Yahweh. And these are the realities that our people are going to have to understand in order to be saved from the plight that we're in today. And study. Our people have to study. I don't ask anyone to accept me as the Son of Yahweh because I say so. In fact, I have very little respect for anyone who would do that. I demand that you prove I am not the Son of Yahweh. And I'll be satisfied with your proof. Or, if you say you believe, I demand you prove that I am. I won't accept you either way unless you prove it.
You said that every nationality, everybody comes to this country and, they set up their own little corner, own little neighborhood, and they set up their own businesses and that. And when you said that when black folks began to get into this mode of doing things, why are they so afraid of black folks? Why the government? Why the country so afraid of black folks?
I'll give you that.
Although we are not about doing nothing.
Yes, I'll tell you very quickly what that is and why. The leadership of this country are people who are very learned and who are very literate, and they're really like the scientists of religion in this country. All of them know that the so-called black men of America are the children of Israel as written in the Bible. We are the people of the Bible. Abraham was a Hebrew. You find that in Genesis chapter 14, 13. You find that he was a Hebrew. So Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were all Hebrews. We are the direct descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Those are our forefathers. So when you read of Adam, you read of Enoch, you read of Moses, these are all our forefathers. You read of King David, King Solomon, these are our forefathers. So they know that once you are resurrected back into the knowledge that you are the people of the Bible, that you're the children of God, the children of Yahweh, and you're really the children of Israel, then they know that a deliverer is coming to deliver you from bondage, to deliver you from the bondage you're in today. So they played a little trick in 1865 called Set You Free. You weren't set free in 1865. It's just that the physical bonds were taken from your feet. You were not physically required to be on the plantation. So when you left and walked down the country road saying you were free, after you got a few miles, you got hungry. And when you got hungry, you turned around and went back to where you got fed. Where did you get fed? At the plantation. Now, you were doing all the services. Had you been a free man, you wouldn't have returned to work and say, will you give me a job? You would have come back to the plantation and talked to your former master and said, look, we'll negotiate for all the services that I perform for you, cutting your hair, cutting your grass, bringing your crops, ironing your clothes, washing your clothes, keeping up the horses, everything that I do, you pay me. I will take pay. And then put that money together and form our own corporations and businesses and become independent. That's why 40 Acres and the Mule died, because you might have gotten the idea to strike out and go for yourself. So that's the whole problem. They are afraid of you coming back into the knowledge that your nationality is Hebrew Israelite, and that your common last name is Israel. You're the children of the mighty one, Yahweh, and that he will send a Savior to redeem you, reform you, regenerate you, and deliver you from your present mental, spiritual slavery.
Brother Ben Yahweh, we're going to have to take another short break, and we'll be right back.
All right.
So it's Brother Yahweh Ben Yahweh live from the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Miami, Florida.
Okay, we're back, Brother Ben Yahweh. That last question I asked you, I tell you, I could have listened to that answer for another half an hour. It was enlightened to me. Brother Ben Yahweh, what can you say? Black folks is in a down mode now. Just what can you say to black folks at this time? What would you like to say to them?
The first thing that black people must address is give up their pettiness. We have been programmed to reinforce keeping ourselves in slavery. We do it. White people are not sitting in our neighborhoods doing that to us. We do it from mother to father to son and son to son, which is, how do we reinforce slavery? We will join a church, and if it's the Baptist church, we hate the Methodists. And the Methodists hate the Presbyterian blacks. And all of them hate the churches of God in Christ. All of whom hate the Catholics. And all of whom hate the Protestants because they're not a part of the mother church. And we just can't afford to allow religious petty differences to separate us and divide us. If you want to reflect back, the civil rights movement under Martin Luther King was successful because people of various different denominations and religions all worked together and cooperated together to get a job done, and it worked in getting that job done. That was not the answer to our problem, but at least you got the job done.
Mm-hmm. Well, Brother Ben Yahweh, one last question. I know you want to have a word with your people. You said something about dishonest in big corporations and what making the thing fail at this time in gross numbers. You were jailed. One of the counts of you were jailed by quoting the Bible, by quoting Luke, Would you, just for my listening audience, what verse in Luke, in that chapter, that you were jailed for?
I was denied bond for Luke chapter 19, verse 27, and I'm going to read that directly from the Bible for you so that you and your audience can hear why I'm still being held and not allowed bond. Here's what it says. But those mine enemies, this is Christ talking, which would not that I should reign over them, bring hither and slay them before me. Now that's what Christ said. All who are my enemies, they don't want me to rule over them, bring them and slay them before me. But that could mean a lot of things. But I simply repeated that scripture and said, I'll be glad when that happens. Because that would mean, who doesn't want Christ to rule over them? Christ is a righteous, honest, holy person, son of God. So only an antichrist would be angry about that.
Okay, Brother Ben Yahweh, I have to go, and I know you want to speak to your people. I wish you much luck and success.
Thank you.
Okay, Brother Ben Yahweh, and just before I give you, turn the show over to you, if you could tell us what is going on with your court appearances now. Do you have a scheduled date to go to court?
At this moment, they keep saying September the 11th is the scheduled date. However, there are many problems involved with that. We have to see whether or not the present Judge Rutger is going to remain judge over the case, because he's being elevated and promoted to chief judge. So whether he remains or not remains to be seen. If he does not remain, it means we'll get a new judge. We get a new judge, that means our trial date would be set off into the future. So then we'd be set here for another year waiting on another trial date. That's the possibility. And even if it's supposed to begin then, it's still going to be delayed, and it's designed just to keep us in jail.
In the interim, what is it, or is there anything that the American population can do to help bring about your being released from incarceration, either on bail or otherwise?
Yes, there is something that all of you can do, and it's being done throughout the country now. About 1 million people have signed petitions across America for my release. And much to the shock and the horror of the U.S. government, they have discovered that this is real. These are not people that you can call the Yahwehs. These are doctors, lawyers, engineers, teachers, professionals who have all signed their names, addresses, telephone numbers, and anything else that the FBI or anybody else wants to check out. They are authentic people who have signed the petition for my release. So now that some of my followers, I and my followers, have been put on a common fare diet here. They took our kosher meals from us. So this common fare diet was supposedly ordered out of Washington, D.C. And what it is a systematic starvation diet. And all of us are showing signs of starvation, which I have and others around me. They all have headaches, a bit of disorientation, involuntary muscle spasms, begin to have a lack of appetite. You don't care to study and read as you once did, and also hallucinations. Now, we have one of our brothers who was weaker than the rest of us, by the name of Hinadab. His malnutrition had driven him insane. And of course, the institution has shipped him out to some other place in the country and have not told us where he is. But he's totally out of his mind. And he came here, he was a plumber. He was one who worked for the city, for the county, in the water department. There's no insanity in his family. Now, they want to treat the symptom, which is schizophrenia. Schizophrenia, by definition, is simply being out of contact with one's environment, out of one's immediate surroundings. Of course, anyone on the ocean who goes without food and water for just 5 or 7 days gets disoriented, hallucinates, and is out of their mind.
Absolutely. Brother Ben Yahweh, and I don't want to cut you off, but I did indicate to you that I wanted to allow you a few moments to address the members of the nation of Yahweh and other individuals in this United States who are who can hear us on the radio waves this morning. I wanted to give you that opportunity.
All right. Thank you for that. Speaking to all of you who love Yahweh, who love the work that I'm doing, all of you in the studio, and all of the nation of Yahweh, continue your work of petitions. The people are signing all over the country every single day know that that is happening. Also, they're all calling the congressmen. Every one of them are calling their congressmen and the senators, letting them know what's happening and that they want my release. They don't have a choice but to respond, because any one of them who are tired of serving in their district, we now have the power to replace them. We have people have signed all over the country to the Republican Party, and their wives are mates are signing to the Democratic Party. So we're going to win. 30 million Republicans and 30 million Democrats. We will win the White House, because the White House's president is elected with about 5 million people in reality, and it's only 70% of that, or 51% of that group who vote, who elect the president. So we have enough numbers to decide who goes in, who goes out, and any congressman who doesn't want to respond to us is going to be out of office. That's a reality. They'll discover it soon. Pick up your telephone, call your congressman, demand my release.
Brother Ben Yahweh, what type of response have you been getting from the elected officials, particularly on the national level, the congressmen and the senators?
We have received overwhelming support from congressmen of this country. They have called NCC, this institution, and because they have called, they've also sent aides in to us that we would be fed properly. So we've already won battle one, which is to have adequate food and not starve here.
Mm-hmm.
We're innocent civilians, guests of the United States government. They have no right to starve us.
One of my last questions, Ben Yahweh, is that can we view then, in lieu of what has been happening with you and the nation of Yahweh, can we look at an individual like President Bush and equate him to someone like Pontius Pilate?
No question, identical. In many ways, they're identical. So we have to be aware of that, understand that this is a spiritual battle, not a physical battle. As you notice, if my kingdom were of this world, then my disciples all over America would have picked up weapons formed by the hands of man and killed people all over this country. But I forbid it. I forbid us to carry weapons, and I'm demonstrating that I'm the Prince of Peace, and we can win this battle by peaceful means, and that's what I advocate.
Okay, certainly we wish you all the best of luck, Ben Yahweh. We hope that everything resolved in your favor. And I said that was my last question, but I do have one other quick question. On September 11th, if you do go to court on that date, what is it that we can expect to see?
If we go to court on that date, then we can expect the government to continue to try and railroad me and railroad my followers into prison for 60 years. I'm 55 years old. 60 years means 115 years that I would come out. That's a death sentence.
Absolutely.
So they're seeking my death. And we must understand that, and understand that not this time. See, the last time, 1900 years ago, the people asked for Barabbas, a thief, a crook. And today, the thief and the crook and the serial killer is Rozier. So the people can either side with him, or they can side with me, a good man who's been benefiting the country. And that's where we stand.
Okay. Brother Ben Yahweh, we're going to ask you to stay on the line for just a moment, but we're just about out of time here. We certainly appreciate you coming on our show, and hopefully we will be back in touch with you in the near future so that we can, follow what is going on with yourself and the nation of Yahweh. I want to thank you very much on behalf of the community, Yahweh, for allowing us this opportunity of interviewing you for the purposes of giving information out to our listening audience.